I don't often come across stone columns in historic architecture. This is part one of a three-part series covering stonemasonry with a focus on building great stone columns. By the time this series is over, I want you to be able to go out and build or restore a perfect stone corner just like this. Well-executed stone corners like this take practice and time to construct, as well as a good supply of quality stone. This corner was built in the 1860s and is as straight today as it was 160 years ago. For part one, I'm going to show you 10 of the most common mistakes I see in my restoration work.
I am not accustomed to speaking in public.
Bad foundations can have very serious consequences. A foundation that is too narrow will not support the weight of the stonework. So always build every foundation a bit wider than the actual work. Another common problem are voids in the foundation. You want to fill all the space up that you possibly can, whether it's with stone, mortar, or clay, to ensure that no water builds up down there. If you have water in your foundation where it's probably going to freeze, you have some pretty serious issues coming up.
I can't imagine.
I often notice when other people are doing stonework that they don't have nearly enough stone to choose from.
Enough for what?
You'll need anywhere from 30 to 50% in extra materials to ensure that you have enough stones to choose from for quality control. But we'll get more into this subject in part 3. I think many of us know somebody that doesn't believe they ever need to use a level to get a straight edge.
You're one of the straight sort, you are. Oh, I can see that.
These people are very arrogant. My great-great-grandfather was a stonemason beginning in roughly 1865 and continued in this line until the 1920s, and he used a level to the very end. So don't be arrogant, be safe, do quality work, use a level. If you have to use a shim like this under a stone, hold it up, that's always a bad idea. Shims in the front of a wall are not only ugly, but this causes the weight of the stone to always be pitching away from the structure. So avoid that at all costs. If you need to shim a stone, make sure you have to shim it from the backside, so the stone is always pushing in and never trying to fall out. I've seen some pretty lousy stonework in the past 100 years. Beginning in the early 20th century, people began to rely more and more on concrete, and they ignored simple physics. Physics, of course, is the backbone of high quality stonework. So we'll get more into this subject in part 2 and part 3 of this series. But for now, do not count on cement holding everything together. It always ends badly.
Now look at that thing. Sink me, what a mess.
Another common problem are bad proportions. I will generally start with a 2 to 3 ratio. For every 3 feet high, I go 2 feet wide. Of course, this ratio changes the higher I go, but this is generally a good starting point. Quality stonework is like putting together a puzzle. That's pretty much all it is. But it needs to be done systematically and carefully, and speed and efficiency only comes with experience and, in many cases, very good materials. So don't rush, take your time, and enjoy it. Running joints are just gaps in the stone that run vertically in a straight line. The fewer vertical straight lines you have, the stronger your stonework is going to be. Ideally, you want every stone to overlap another. This actually binds everything together into a good cohesive mass. Otherwise, Well, stick around to the end and you'll see what happens. Do not use modern cements with historic masonry. Modern cements will cause historic bricks and stone to disintegrate. We'll discuss your options in part 2 and part 3 of this series.
I'd like to talk about that later.
When stonework fails, the culprit is almost always ignorance. Research is absolutely vital for anybody trying to do stonework for the very first time. In a future presentation, I will share some of my favorite sources. I generally go with historic texts or European sources. Europe is so far ahead of us as far as historic preservation goes, it's a national embarrassment. What happens when you don't follow the rules and you try to fight physics? Or you don't use a level? Or you have running joints? Watch and see. The entire structure is just pulling apart, falling to the side. We lost an entire corner. Other stuff is loose now. It's just a disaster.
Sink me, the thing is a disaster.
We are building these 2 small temporary columns for a new forge. So stick around for parts 2 and 3, and then see us complete the forge build. Thank you for watching.